is that increased cultural presence and power is now more in the hands of modern citizen consumers than ever before. Those TiVos and those iPods and you know, those iPhones that they hold in their hands, incredibly potent technological devices. We all know and love what they do. But I always see them, and I always have from the day I was, you know, they came onto the scene. I've always seen them as a symbol of the future, of where things are going, and it's a symbol, a metaphoric symbol for what they expect from any type of interaction that they have now. You know, in terms of content, in terms of media, in terms of brands in particular. But this also comes right down to government, religion, you name it. And basically what it boils down to is what I want, when I want, how I want, and I want to participate. This natural and shared shift towards more control of content and culture means that now young people, and we all know this, they challenge all top-down models not born from their own culture. And this isn't just about brands. You know, organized religion is under the microscope right now. You know, you check out any sort of stats on any organized religion in Canada anyway, and look at their penetration numbers with the young market, and they continue to go down. Why they're not resonating? It's sort of been foisted upon me. It's this sort of sense. Traditional corporate culture. You know, I can't think in the past 2 or 3 years all the different clients that we've had that come to us going, Mike, I have no idea what to do with the HR needs of the new young millennial. Like, what the heck do I do? A lot of it's sort of a mix of old school stuff, but they're all very scared. But there are changes that are happening out there. You know, you can wear jeans to work now. You know, that didn't happen 10 years ago, except in certain industries. The traditional workplace, traditional education, that whole idea that we're doing right now, sort of top down, sort of podium learning, that's completely and utterly being changed right now. Government, the family, brands, they're all being challenged. I've got a stat here. We do a thing called the value meter once a year, and it's a look at 50 different criteria. Everything from the importance of having sex and getting high, right down to, you know, getting married and having a good job. And their gut reaction, very quickly, how important is that to? These are aspirational. It has nothing to do with what's actually happening in their life, but it's sort of how they want to play that back, how they want to feel played back. And you take a look at this stat just to sort of give a sense of how values are slowly being changed by this culture. You take a look at getting formally married, and, you know, around 58% of young Canadians between the ages of what? There you go, 14, 34, say, yeah, I'm into the idea of getting formally married. But if you recontextualize that as just having a lifelong partner, the number shoots up another good, you know, 15, 16% up to 75%. Same thing with going to church, synagogue, or mosque, which is short form, and, you know, for some sort of observance on a traditional kind of way of religion. And it's almost a quarter barely show an interest in doing that. So that gives you an insight right there into religion, where that's going, but that's a digression. But if you recontextualize that in terms of finding your own religion, defining your own spirituality, it goes up to 1/3 of young Canadians. So it's not like they're walking away from religion or spirituality. They're just walking away from, you know, traditional precepts of religion. It's not like they're, you know, going out and sowing a million different seeds and, you know, screw the family and it's all over. No, they still love the idea of monogamy and holding on to it, but, you know, do I need a rabbi or a priest to tell me I'm married? Do I need to have a big formal proceeding? No, I don't. You know, I always think this is an interesting way of looking at sort of values and how that permeates down. So their values are changing, you know, aside from their attitudes to brands or media, things like that. So how does this all affect brands? Well, brands now, though they're still carrying no small amount of import in terms of, in the minds of young people these days, as a consumer cue. They're certainly not the ziggurats that they used to be. They're not flying down like that chandelier from on high, and if everyone sort of feels like it's good, it's I'm behind it. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. As with the recent demystification of celebrity, brands too are now much more under the microscope, and they're also completely and utterly understood by teens and young adults in Canada, but really this is a global phenomenon. And they're seen as often illusory and definitely fabricated things. They get that now, you know. And I talked a bit about the demystification of celebrity. I always use this example, or I have for a while. Demystification of celebrity is this amazing thing to look at that's happening in our culture. You would think, you know, that we're sort of at the utter horrific height of celebrity effing in our culture. But at the end of the day, they also understand what's going on around a celebrity. You know, if Paris Hilton walked into a high school room right now, or into a university classroom, the first first thing they would do is like, oh my God, it's effing Paris Hilton. But I think the second and third and fourth questions that they asked are much more telling. They would understand, they would ask, who's she here for? What's her day rate? Where's her handler? I wonder where she's going next. They get all that kind of stuff, you know. It's not like she just magically appears like Grace Kelly used to magically appear, you know. Paris Hilton is no Grace Kelly, you know. And I'm not talking about, put that down. That's a one quote that's resonating, right? But, you know, I love it. But the point I'm making here is that they get it. So really, at the end of the day, Paris Hilton is no Grace Kelly because Paris Hilton is actually the epitome of high performance art. She's projecting and living, and there's a sort of ongoing back and forth happening about what she's doing. There's a knowledge. We know that you're here because you're getting paid, but we're still going to play the game. The same thing happens, you know, in TMZ culture and all that kind of stuff. There's, of course, a sense of demystification propelled by digital technology, of course, is affecting brands too. McDonald's, Coke, whatever, name any of the big ones, you know, and even the small ones. They're always saying, you know, what are they trying to sell me? Is what they sell and how they make it in line with my ethics and ideals? These are joining the queue. What about the obesity epidemic? Are they doing anything here in my community? And so on and so forth. So there's a lot of demystification happening now, and this is just this is the parlance of young Canadian culture, absolutely young North American culture, I would say.